Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial will be on the stitching of this or sewing of this style. The drafting and the cutting tutorial is already up in the channel. Please check it out. To my old subscribers, I say thank you for all your support, and if this is your first time of stopping by, nice meeting you for the first time. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and let's get into this video. I will see you at the end of the video. So this is our front bodice and is a bustier, more like an off-shoulder one, and I'm gonna head to cut out my lining pieces for each piece of it. That's the center front, the two side front, the center piece, the two side pieces. I've got ahead to cut out all the lining pieces for them. I'm just arranging it where the places is supposed to be. So I just placed the lining. I'm going to be stitching it down, lining to lining, and then fabric to fabric. So the first thing I did is to pin down on my linings from the waist up to the neckline. Should they call it our neckline? It's our starting point per se, making sure that our underbust matches each other. And if you like padding your clothes, please at this moment cut out your padding. For me, I do not like padding my clothes. I don't know if I'm weird or there are people that are like me but I don't like padding my clothes, so I'm just stitching this down without padding. I'll do the same thing for my fabric as well, and then stitch it down all the way to the other side, and then to the other side of the bodies. And then this is my back pieces. I've already cut out the fabric for the lining for it as well. The next thing I'm going to do is to place the lining on the front of the fabric, the front side of the fabric. And then the first thing I'm going to do is to take in my dart. Remember, our dart started at 11 inches from the shoulder. That's what you're going to measure as well, and then take the dart in by 1 inch like we added. And then after that, I'm going to stitch on my shoulder and then turn it inside out. So this is the other piece of the front bodice. We are not going to be stitching on our armhole because it's going to have sleeve. All I'm going to do is to stitch on my neckline and then stitch on the under the place looking like an N. You are going to stitch that as well. So this is our front bodice. I am done stitching it down. The next thing I'm going to do is to notch from under bust all the way to the starting point because of the curve there, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. Then for this piece, what I am going to do, like I've showed you, I stitched this place as well. I'm going to go ahead and notch this area, and then I'm going to try out, then notch my neckline before turning this inside out. Turning this inside out is what it was a little bit difficult because of the narrow place at that area, but one step at a time, you are going to get it. Then for the back bodies, I'm going to go ahead and notch the neckline as well, and then I'm going to cut out the excess on the dart. You can leave yours if you want, but I went ahead to cut mine out to reduce the bulge there, and I'll do the same thing for my fabric piece. Then I'm going to turn it to the right side. That's the lining will be on the wrong side as at now, and then I'll go ahead and iron this down. So this is my front bodice. If you have your tailor hems, please use it to iron open the dart areas. And also this piece, I've gone ahead to iron it as well. All the pieces, I've ironed them down. So the next thing we are going to do is to attach this chest design chest area on the bodies. I'm just cutting out the excess that I have there, little bit of it. So I'm going to go ahead and then place it on the right side of my fabric. The first thing I'm going to do is to hold it in place. Remember, it's going to be at our armhole, because it's part of the armhole that we are going to use to attach our sleeve is in that piece. So make sure you attach it on the armhole to be at the armhole line. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this down. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to get my lining piece and place it front. As of this moment, my lining have had front already, so I'm going to be placing it front, facing front, making sure that my darts are matching each other. The center of the fabric, my lining and my fabric are matching, then the two darts are matching. Before then, pin all of them together before going to my sewing machine to stitch it down. So after pinning it together, I'm going to go to my sewing machine to stitch it down. Remember, we are not stitching at our armhole because we are attaching our sleeve. And this is it after stitching it down. I'm just making a notch at that V shape there so that it doesn't have any tension there. Then I'll flip it to the right side. If you want, at this moment, you top stitch on at the chest line, or you can as well do it from the inside just like I did. I'm going to show you guys. If you have your padding at this moment, when you would have seen it standing, but because there's no padding there, that's why it keeps falling. So what I did is to open it and then move the excess is there to the lining side, and then top stitch it just like I showed you. So this is my sleeve. I already gone ahead to cut out. The tutorial on how to make this sleeve is in my channel already. Please check it out, the video before this one. So I went ahead to stitch the upper part of the sleeve in preparation for attachment. So this is my front bodice. I'm going to go ahead and attach the back bodice to it. Remember that this body, the front bodice, the reason is longer is because we are yet to cut out the 5 inches we added for the waistline. So I'm just going to go ahead and arrange it. If you want to have an invisible shoulder, just I have taught 1 or 2 in my channel. What you're going to do is to place this the front and the back bodies, and then use the lining to cover it like this, like so, and then stitch it down. Just look at the video where you will understand what I'm trying to say. By the time you stitch it down and you open it, you see that the back and the front shoulder line is, you can't see the stitches there. So this is how it's going to look. If you see me done it in my channel, you know how it is. But for me, I'm going to be doing the normal front facing front stitching, open stitching, so that if there's any adjustments, just like I always say, it's easier for me to adjust. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this down before going to my machine to stitch it down, and I'll do the same thing for the other shoulder. Okay, this is it. I am done stitching it down. The next thing we are going to do is to cut our back waistline, and for this I'm just arranging the front body as well. Make sure you arrange this as well as you can. Then also arrange the upper body, because you're going to be measuring from the shoulder line downward. So placing my tape at the shoulder line, I'm going to be measuring 19 inches, which is our half length, or you can measure 19.5, so that the half inch will be for stitching allowance. Then with my ruler from that line, I'm going to slant it to meet my waistline. Then I will go ahead and cut this out. So this is it after cutting it out. I'm going to go ahead and run a stitch all the way through, just to keep it in place, or you can as well use your pin to hold it down. But after holding mine down, I also went ahead to stitch it down, so that I'll know that that place is in place. Then this is my lining for my skirt. I have all my lining pinned down, the front and the back lining. I'm going to go ahead and mark 1 inch away out of the lining. You can do as much as you can, but remember, whatever you have in mind on marking out, replace it in your remember to add more allowance to your fabric, so that you don't have shortage of fabric. So I just mark out 1 inch. I like doing 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out before we proceed onto the tutorial. So the next thing I'm going to do is to open the front bodice, the front skirt. This is it. I'm going to go ahead and take the line, its lining, and then place it on the right side of the fabric. Remember this, I placed it on the right side, not the left side. I'm going to go ahead and arrange, and this is the hemming area, not the waistline. This is the hemming area. I'm going to go ahead and pin this all the way through before going to my sewing machine to stitch it down. So I'm done stitching it down. I'm going to flip the lining to the wrong side at this moment. Then draw the lining to meet the waistline, and then I'm going to go ahead and pin this down so that the lining, the fabric and the lining will be in place. So after pinning it down, see, look at what we have. This is the essence of cutting out the 1 inch so that it can pull the fabric up instead of folding it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take out my dart. I think at making this basque waistline, you don't need dart for it, but as we have already added our dart, we are going to take it out, right? So I measured half of my nipple measurement and then take my waistline out. We're going to do the same thing for the back one, but there is a difference on the back one. So placing my lining at the hemming area like we did at the front part, I'm going to pin it down and then go ahead to stitch it down. And this is it. After I was done stitching it down, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up at the waistline, and then also when I am done, I'm going to pin this down also as well to keep it in place. The next thing I'm going to do is from the zipper side. Remember, this is the zipper side, not the hemming side. From the zipper side, I'm going to stitch at ½ inch all the way to the waistline. So this is it. After I was done stitching it down, I'm going to go ahead and now flip it to the right side. So the reason for this is that your slit is going to have a neat finishing. That's the reason we stitch on the zipper area as well. So I just flip it at the right side, making sure I take out the fabric out. I'm going to go ahead and iron it, and then do the same thing for the other back side. Then onto our skirt, I'm going to place my bodice on my skirt so that we can cut out this back waistline as well on our skirt. So making sure I arrange everything well that is matching, I'm going to go ahead and pin this down on 2 points. That's the where we have our V shape, then at the 2 ends of the bodice and the skirt. And I'm going to go ahead and trace the bodice line onto the skirt, just like I am doing. Just trace all the bodies where the body stopped on the skirt, trace it down, trace it out, I mean. Remember, this body started on our waist, the starting of the waistline, so that we don't mistaken it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go in by ½ inch from the line that we marked. If you don't do this, we are going to have excess fabric by the time you want to stitch it down. So by the time you go in, during the remaining ½ inch that you left to meet the line we marked earlier will be your hemming allowance. It will be your stitching allowance, sorry. So after cutting it out, we're going to go ahead and then attach our sleeve. Remember, we have gone ahead to stitch the one side of the sleeve, so I'm going to go ahead and start pinning it down from one side to the other, and then I'll go to my sewing machine to stitch it down. So this is it after I am done stitching it down. The next thing I'm going to do is to we're going to attach our skirt onto the bodice, and for this we are starting from our so I'm going to go ahead and open up my skirt, the front side of my skirt, and then I'm going to place the front side of my bodice to it. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and make notches on the center of the bodice and on the skirt. Just fold it into 2 equal parts and then make a notch there, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll do the same thing for the skirt as well, sorry. Making sure that I arrange all the skirts properly, or the bodies, whatever you want to turn, notch, make sure you arrange it well. So after notching it, what I'm going to do is to match the 2 notches and then pin it down. Then I'm going to go ahead and then start pinning one side of the bodice onto the skirt, just one side of it, so that we can stitch on one side. Then when we are done stitching on one side, I'm going to flip it over to the other side and then stitch it down as well. So this is it after I was done stitching it down. I also went ahead to stitch the back bodice. The back bodice, there's nothing serious about it, just place it front facing front and then stitch it down. I also went ahead to notch that V shape on the front body. So the next thing we are going to do is to place the 2 bodies, front, the back and the front facing front. I'm just trying to arrange it so that we can I'm just trying to arrange arrange the front facing front, so that we can go ahead and pin it down, so that we can take out we can stitch the hemming area down. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin it, but I went offline of the video to arrange this well, make sure I pin it from the up to the down. The fabric is big and the table is small so I've gone ahead to pin it all the way to the hemming area. So I'm going to go ahead and then stitch it from the armhole. Remember to change your thread at the armhole if you are using a different fabric like I am, from the armhole all the way to the bust, to the waist, and then to the hem. And then I will do the same thing for the other side. And this is it after I was done stitching the 2 sides. The next thing I'm going to do is to flip on the back side, and then how much you want your slit to be, how open you want it, that's where you're going to start, and then stitch down the remaining one before attaching your zip. And this is it after we are done. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned 1 or 2 on this tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, sorry. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.